This aircraft has been the talk of the industry since it was announced in November 2013. The product launch of this airliner at the 2013 Dubai Air Show represented the world's largest product launch in commercial jetliner history by dollar value. In fact, there have been over 340 orders for this type, taking its order book value to over $145 billion even before the first flight took place. This is the crown jewel of Boeing commercial airplanes, the 777X. As of 2020, this aircraft is the most advanced airliner in the industry with unique features that set it apart from the competition. The 235 feet wing surface area is the largest for a twin-engine jet, making the aircraft more aerodynamic. And this aircraft is fitted with the latest GE9X engines, enabling the aircraft to offer unrivaled performance in terms of fuel efficiency. Boeing has poured well over $5 billion into the 777X program. So why did Boeing undertake such a huge risk, and to what extent will this be a commercial success? Boeing was extremely wise to build the 777X, and to understand why, we have to go back in time to the period when the world was recovering from one of the greatest recessions in history, the start of 2010. After a period of reduced passenger demand and freight, 2009 ended as one of the worst years for the aviation industry. The number of passengers that flew was down by 3.5%, with an average load factor of 75.6%. Demand for freight transportation was down 10.1%, with an average load factor of 49.1%. To give you a clearer understanding, airlines usually prefer an 80% load factor for passengers and over 75% for freight. Airlines had already suffered during the Great Recession. Lufthansa Airlines saw a 63.8% fall in net profits, Virgin Group reported a 45.3% fall in profits, and over 40 airlines ceased operations. And at the start of 2010, the aviation industry desperately wanted to make huge profits to make up for the losses. This was not very easy, as the fuel prices, which plummeted during the recession, started rising to the extent where it was over 25% of the total operating cost of airlines. And on the brighter side, the International Civil Aviation Organization forecasts stated that demand was going to grow at a promising rate. This meant a demand for more fuel-efficient, economical, and environment-friendly aircraft, which could increase the overall profit margin of the airlines. This was when Boeing 787 took off for the first time, after which it was a huge success and quickly became one of Boeing's best-selling planes. In response to this, Airbus came up with their extra-wide-body A350-900 to compete with Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, for which Boeing again responded with their 787-9 Dreamliner, which had just completed its first test flight. Now, the duopolistic aircraft manufacturing industry had three long-haul, two-aisle, twin-engine aircrafts on offer for airlines to choose from: the 777, the 787, and the A350-900. The A350-900 was able to carry between 300 and 350 passengers in a 3-class configuration and had a range of 15,000 kilometers. The 787-9 could carry a maximum of 296 passengers in a 2-class configuration and can travel up to 13,950 kilometers. The 777-200LR could carry 317 passengers and travel 15,843 kilometers. The 787 was the most fuel-efficient jet in the market, followed by the A350 and the 777. So the situation was more like a draw, with each airliner being better than the another in one way or another. In order to break this tiebreaker and come out as the winner, the idea of the 777X was conceived. But do you think Boeing would have initiated the project just because of its European competitor? No, there is more logic behind building this super airliner. In the early 2010s, the economic conditions of the world were slowly recovering from the aftermath of the Great Recession. The world GDP was increasing along with population. These are two core factors that affect the demand for air travel in any country. And airlines were opening more long-haul routes from 2010. For example, Emirates started operating a daily non-stop service between Dallas and Dubai from February 2nd of 2012. The airline also started flying to other long-haul destinations like Washington DC in 2012, Rio de Janeiro in 2012, Tokyo Narita in 2010, St. Petersburg in 2011, Buenos Aires in 2012. Other airlines such as Qatar Airways also started flying to Melbourne in 2009, to Montreal with 3 weekly flights in 2011, Chongqing, China, Sao Paulo and Hanoi in 2010, Perth and Warsaw in 2012, Chengdu, China in 2013. The map clearly shows all the new destinations opened by major airlines in the world, and it shows one thing, that airlines were committed to network expansion. Boeing wanted the 777X to become just that, enabling airlines to serve the following type of routes. Hot and high routes between airports where air density is lower due to higher airport elevation, and ambient temperature like New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport to OR Tambo International Airport, South Africa. Long and hot routes between airports where air density is low and travel time is between 6 and 12 hours. For example, Los Angeles to Dubai. Long and high payload routes between airports where travel time is between 6 and 12 hours and where the aircraft payload is high. For example, flights between Tokyo Narita and Tocumen International Airport, Panama. Ultra long haul routes with a flight time of over 12 hours. For example, between O'Hare International Airport, Chicago and Sydney Airport. During this time, it was also clear that a replacement was needed in the future for the long-haul planes which will be retired, like the 777-300s, A380 and the 747, 767 and the A340s. In the graph, we see a clear indication of the seating capacity of long-haul twin-aisle airliners in service. From this, it can be inferred that this aircraft was clearly developed to fill the void in the market. Moreover, introducing the new model in the 777 family helps passengers and airlines associate the aircraft with an incredible safety record of 0.18 fatal crashes per 1 million departures of the 777, making the airline more favorable for passengers. Let us attempt to make an estimate of how much it will cost an airline to buy a completely new aircraft. Before we start, let me quickly inform that these are rough estimates and can vary based on aircraft and airline. Let us suppose an airline orders 10 aircrafts of a completely new model which has similar specifications to the 777X. Let me also inform you that the international standards require 11 pilots per aircraft, meaning the airline now has to train 110 pilots. In the first place, it would cost around $7 million for an airline to buy a simulator and cost around $450 per hour to operate it. A pilot has to train for 20 hours on a simulator, meaning the airline should operate the simulator for over 2200 hours, costing the airline about $990,000 in operating costs alone. The airline would also then need to train at least 30 of their engineers, which can cost another $350,000. This also means the cost of recruiting temporary engineers, which can cost around $100,000. Cabin crew also have to be trained. It takes an average of 15 cabin crew to operate a plane the size of the 777. So the airline has to have at least 20 stewards and stewardesses per aircraft, which can take their training costs to around $400,000. We still have other costs to include, such as the cost of buying and maintaining new machinery, new spare parts, which can easily cost us solid $500,000. This brings the rough estimate to around $9.34 million, and there are always other indirect costs which are not avoidable and would further impact the bottom line of the airline. The number of 777s produced in the world to carry passengers, including all variants, total around 1,449, which constitutes about 71% of the in-service wide-body fleet in the world. And this means airlines can use their 777 pilots to fly the 777X because the FAA does not require pilots to train for different variants of the same aircraft type, and the cabin crew will also be more able to adapt to the change. Moreover, the airline can also use its existing engineers and ground equipment to operate this aircraft with minimal training, which reduces training costs and the cost of buying and maintaining new machinery. Airlines choosing the 777X can still operate a less diverse fleet, which reduces the downtime for airlines and also makes it easy for airline management, such as substituting staff when one is not available. The idea of introducing the new aircraft in the 777 family was one commercially wise decision that Boeing has made. For example, Emirates, the airline with the largest 777 fleet in the world, wouldn't have ordered the 150 aircraft if it was an airliner straight from the drawing board. And without a doubt, the aircraft wouldn't have launched in the way it did if it was not associated with the existing 777 brand. However, the question of whether it was the best decision could only be answered by time as many unknowns become known.